Author to Authority podcast, and today is part 2 of a very special series that I am doing with Carol Boston. And on the first episode, Carol shared her story and one of 3 very important points on how to fail courageously. We live in a world where failure is seen as something bad, but true entrepreneurs know that failing teaches you valuable lessons that helps you take your business forward. So one of the first point that we talked about on the last episode, so make sure you just go back to the previous one from this one and listen to it if you didn't get a chance to, is we talked about tacking. Now, I'm going to let Carol do a quick review on tacking, but the thought I had was that in business, Carol talked about sometimes the best path to get to success is not a straight line, because there's obstacles in the way.
Yes.
And so I'm going to let her explain that part. But the thought that I had was that when you're an entrepreneur, learning how to tack, so how to go different directions, actually creates success. Because sometimes what happens is that when we're going straight and we hit that wall, we hit that problem, we hit that obstacle, we look at it and we're going to go, I'm going to take that problem on head on.
Yep.
And what you do is you start to focus on the problem. But the thought that occurred to me today was when you tack, you're looking for the solution.
Yes.
So I will let you do the quick review from there.
Awesome. Yeah, in the last episode, we talked about how most of us were raised or were taught that the fastest path between point A and point B is a straight line. I took tacking from a boating term. It's often used with sailboats and speedboats, but in a layman's term, so you don't have to have a captain's license to understand it. Tacking, and you might want to write this down, tacking allows you to see success more quickly, celebrate more often, and pivot in mid-course if something isn't working. And that's exactly what Kim is referring to. So often we're like, this is my path and that's the goal. And we don't realize that just like a boat, if they're not willing to tack and turn in short intervals, they run into the headwinds and it gets more and more and more difficult. So that's a real simplistic view of tacking. Just to tack onto it a little bit, you want to do it with macros and micros. And your 3 micros are bite-sized digestible pieces, things that you can do every day.
Yes.
And that's critical. That's critical because what that leads into is our second tool. And our second tool is the art of celebration.
I've been looking forward to that one. I
Well,
like to celebrate.
The universe, God, whatever you believe, honors what we celebrate. I think we spoke last time and we had people write this down. What I focus on expands.
Yes.
So if I'm focused on what isn't working, I'm going to get more of what isn't working because that's where my energy and my focus is. What the art of celebration does is it allows you to focus and be at a higher vibration, if you will, for everything good that's coming in and that you're attempting.
Yes.
So in looking at celebration, we have to redefine the word success, right? When I was in corporate America, they said, oh, Carol, we'll celebrate when you make your annual quota. That's too far away. And that number's too big, right?
Yes.
So I didn't even know back then, Kim, that I was actually tacking. But I would tell my boss, give me my weekly number in big red ink, and I would tape it on my cubicle. And every day, what 3 things can I do today? Remember, It's got to be specific. Now, that's actually an empowering question, which we're going to tie in a minute, right? What 3 things can I do today to get me closer to my goal? It's important that we understand that we're trying to make progress and not, I got my goal in one day.
Yes.
Sold $1 million today or got 5 new clients today. We're trying to make progress. And that's what tacking and the art of celebration allow you to do. One of the things that I work with my clients on is that we celebrate every attempt because sometimes you have to go down a path to find out what you don't want, right?
Amen to that.
Right? And often the very path we fear is the path we're meant to be on. So sometimes we'll procrastinate and take a different path, trying to avoid the one that we're afraid of, when ideally it's the one that we're supposed to be on, right? The good thing about tacking is it can always get you back on course.
Yes.
Make sense?
Yeah. And actually, when you were talking about the three small things, I remember when I was in network marketing, they want you to build these big teams and these massive customer bases, and it looks so daunting. And especially, when you look at people who've been in it for years and had thousands and thousands of people. But I remember my one manager said to me, you know what? Just focus on the people you need to talk to today.
Mm,
So what we did is we tracked over a period of a few weeks, how many people did I need to talk to get a
hmm.
customer, and how
Right.
many people did I need to talk to get a recruit.
Okay.
And so once we had those two numbers, it was now, okay, what's your goal? Like, how many new customers do you want this month, and how many new recruits? And then, we broke it down into the weekly and daily goals. So now I wasn't focused on the thousands and thousands. I was focused on the fact that I maybe had to talk to 3 to 5 people a day.
Exactly. It made it easily and digestible and manageable.
And I knew that, over the course of the week, I was going to get a lot of no's. But
Yes,
again, I celebrated the no's because the yes was coming.
exactly. Good for you. Good for you.
And so that allowed me, to build a decent sized team and a really great a loyal customer base.
And let me ask you, was there ever a time as you were building your team that one day you're like, oh my God, how did I get to this number?
Yeah, there was a few times because all of a sudden it
Right.
just seemed to explode.
Exactly. I have clients the same thing. Like all of a sudden they've hit their goal they're in my 6-month program and they've hit their goal in 10 weeks. And they're like, well, how did we get here so quickly? Because we weren't focused on the elephant, right? You eat the elephant one bite at a time.
Yes.
We're just focused on the little things. So those two things tie in together. You tack, you celebrate. You celebrate the fact that you made the attempt without judgment. What's really key is that you don't judge it as good or bad.
Mm.
I get my clients to go, well, that was the learning lesson. And we sit back down and we pivot and go in another direction.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the key things we said last time is often as entrepreneurs, we get tired sometimes. We just want to quit,
Yeah.
right? And we said last time, Richard Branson said, don't confuse needing a nap with needing to quit. And
Mm.
tacking allows you to rest, to get that
Yes.
nap, and then you can move forward.
Yeah. I liked how you put it. One of the things I used to teach my team was practice your way to success. So
Mm,
until you can do it like the back of your hand and you're getting all these results, consider everything you do practice. So it's not
exactly.
about the results, it's about the practice. But if you
You're,
practice,
yep,
you will get results along the way. But you're not focusing on results, you're focusing on the practice.
right. And now it'll be even more powerful when they add in the celebration with the practice.
Yes.
Makes sense?
Yeah.
I had a mentor years ago, Keith Cunningham, who said, anything worth doing, think about this, anything worth doing is worth doing poorly the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And then you do it again.
Yep.
So that's what we're learning as entrepreneurs, right? We had to jump in, figure out what wasn't working. And all along the way, sometimes you still have to figure out what isn't working,
Oh, yeah. Still
right?
do.
It's so true because, I'm a business leadership coach. I'm about personal leadership. And just the other day, I was actually listening to a sermon on TV, and it made me stop and think, who am I being? Not what am I doing or not doing,
Mm.
but who am I being,
Yes.
right? Who am I being behind closed door with nobody's watching? That's
Yes.
about personal leadership, right? Which is exactly what you were learning with, I may talk to my 3 to 5 people today. Yes, tick it off. You stayed in alignment with what your goals were. So sometimes, even as entrepreneurs, we have to stop and go, okay, who am I being in it right now? Because
Well,
being leads into doing.
truth is, if you can't lead yourself, you can't lead others.
Exactly. I totally agree with you. So are we ready
Okay.
for our third tool?
Oh, yes. I really want you to get into the empowering questions because I had Carol on my online network and learn event, and most of this was on the empowering questions, and it just blew my mind. I'm like, Carol, we got to do empowering questions because this was an incredible tool that just really did a mind shift on me, and I'm still processing it. So I want to hear it again.
Absolutely. This is not something anybody learns overnight. I think I shared with you, it's simple, but it's not easy, right?
Yes.
Because simple is doable. So back in 2015, I think when I first heard of empowering questions, just like you did, I was amazed and I saw their power and I decided I wanted to master them. And I began to study and practice. And I've actually developed them in 4 different areas. Empowering questions allow you to ponder. Let me back up for a second. Here's something, if you ever hear me speak on stage or online, I say, you can't read the label when you're inside the jar.
Mm-hmm.
And we're all in a jar,
Yes.
right? That's why we agreed, Kim, everybody needs a coach. We need someone to see from the outside. But what empowering questions do is they allow you to see not only what you're doing, they allow you to see how others are perceiving what you're doing. And it allows you to get them on the same page as you with less resistance. Think about that.
Wow, I like that.
Even with your kids, even with your husband, it's not just in business. How would you like to be able to get somebody on the same page as you with less resistance?
That's good stuff.
They're awesome, right? So they allow you to ponder. They open up your awareness. You don't focus on anything except possibilities that you haven't even discovered yet, right? When we're in our jar, we have possibilities sitting right here that we can't see because we're in our jar. Empowering questions, they give you Oprah aha moments. Like, oh my God. Have you ever been in a situation where like, oh my God, I never thought about that before, right? So here's your first key tip. Empowering questions never, ever, ever, ever start with the word why. That's a writer downer. You got to write that down. They don't start with why. Why brings in defensiveness, which then brings in the ego, which then will bring in your emotions. And here's another writer downer for you. When emotions go up, intelligence goes down. Right?
Yep.
And that's true for every human being. And don't mistake that for only negative emotions, right? Mm-hmm. You'll hear people say, oh, I was so angry. I shouldn't have said that. I was angry, right? Mm-hmm. Emotions went up, intelligence went down. But it happens when their emotions are too high on the emotions that we judge as good emotions, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know if I told you, but think about the lady who goes to Las Vegas, has a blast, wakes up the next morning, wonders who's in bed with her and what's this ring on my finger, right? Like, oh my God. My intelligence was down because my emotions were out of control.
Maybe a little alcohol on top of it.
Exactly. Right. So they not only allow you to see what you're doing, they allow you to see what the other person, how they're perceiving you, right? Because sometimes we are the obstacle.
Yes.
You don't use empowering questions just when you're trying to figure something else out or somebody else out. You use them for yourself. When I just told you a minute ago, when I asked myself, who am I being today in my business? That's an empowering question.
Yes.
I'm willing to see what I'm not seeing, right?
Yep.
Maya Angelou said, I did the best I could with what I knew, but when I knew better, I did better. Mm-hmm. So when we ask these empowering questions, it's going to open us up to things that we haven't considered before.
Yes.
So we're going to get new information, right? Mm-hmm. Here's a key thing. You cannot be attached to the outcome. You cannot be attached to how it shows up. When I was teaching this inside American Express, I had one of the ladies say, but Carol, I have goals. I've got to meet my goals. What do you mean I can't be attached to the outcome, right?
Yeah.
And I said, you can't be attached to how it shows up. Really quick story on that. About a year and a half ago, I knew I was going to speak at the Tower Club of Fort Lauderdale 3 times in the month of November to 3 different groups. Now, I knew that the Tower Club only had a handheld mic or stand behind a podium. And if you've ever seen me stand up and speak, Kim, you know I'm not a stand behind a podium kind of girl. I like to be with the audience. I like to be with the audience and I move around, and I'm not going to hold a microphone. I have a hard time not talking with my hands on the camera. Someone told me the other day, keep your hands down. They look really big on the camera. I'm like, okay, I'm working on it. Exactly. So I went into the Tower Club and I asked what could be a different solution. And they said, well, this is what we've always done. I said, I understand, but what else is possible? And they said, well, we've been doing it like this for 70 years. So I said, I understand, but what else is possible? Folks, that's a big writer downer. That is the most empowering of all empowering questions. What else is possible? You're telling the universe, I have no idea. I just need a solution. I don't care how it shows up. So she finally got a little frustrated with me. And she goes, I don't know. And so I chuckled and I said, yeah, but if you did know, what would you say? And she said, I think I need to go ask. So off she goes. 1 week to the day from that conversation, I'm in the Tower Club testing out the first lavalier mic. They had never had one in 70 years. Now, here's the point, folks. If I had gone in there and said, I have to have a headset mic, that's all I can have. I got to have a headset mic. I might have gotten no solution. I wasn't attached to the outcome.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to have to hold a mic or stand behind a podium. Think about it. How often do we miss things that are gifts because they don't look like what we thought they should look like?
True.
Right?
True.
And if we have time at the end, I'll give you a quick, powerful story about that. Here's your second tip. Empowering questions always start with who, what, how, and sometimes where. That's a writer downer, folks. They always start with who, what, how, and sometimes where.
And never why.
Never, ever, ever why. I can go into more depth. I don't know how much time we have, Kim, but you let me know.
Probably got about 5-10 minutes left. So,
okay, we can take it a little bit deeper. You want to make sure your empowering question is specific. For example, I didn't just say, who am I being? I said, who am I being today in my business? Right? Right. Let's say that you're, and this is going to blow everybody's mind, but this all starts with from a powering statement that you have to create that has an embedded presupposition in it, right? This is a 2 or 3 day course to really understand and grasp, but you can begin doing it today, even if you did nothing but walk out and go, oh, what else is possible, right? And not just when you think things are negative. I told a client of mine, I don't care if you win $10 million tomorrow in the lottery. I want you to stand up and go, I just won $10 million. What else is possible, right? I'm so serious. Not just when you can't figure something out. You talk about gratitude and praise. What else is possible? And just let the universe have it, because you never know, right? So let's just say, I don't know, an easy one. Let's say you wanted to lose weight, right? Lose weight has a negative connotation. That's not an empowering statement. So if you said, I want to be healthy, that presupposes that I'm not healthy, doesn't it? I want to be healthy. That's not empowering.
Yes.
But if you said, I want to be more healthy, that's more powerful, right?
Yeah.
But if you said you wanted to make it specific, if you said, I want to be even more healthy today. And if that was your empowering statement, then you would craft your questions from there. So one of your questions might be, what one, just one, we're keeping it simple. What one fruit or vegetable could I add today to do what? Get me closer to my goal. Right?
I got an interesting story about that.
Okay. Let's hear it.
So I am on a weight loss journey.
Okay.
And it is about getting healthy.
Good.
But I knew I couldn't do it in the traditional way. So like you, I pray. And I felt God, because I knew if I just took everything away, all I would do was eat, because I'd want. So I prayed to God about it. And he says, well, why don't you just start cutting back on your Coke? Canned Coke,
Look at that. One little thing.
160 calories, right?
Yep.
So, if, every so many cans of Coke is a pound on your body.
Yes.
3,500 calories divided by 160, right? So he said, you like water? I said, I do like water. He says, well, water's good for you. I said, okay. So I just slowly started replacing Coke with water. I didn't completely cut Coke out. I just started drinking it less. So instead of, maybe I would have like 3 or 4 cans a week, I cut it down to 3. Next week, I cut it down to 2.5. Within a month or so, I wasn't drinking Coke at all. I was drinking water.
Good for you.
And it wasn't hard, because it was one small choice, right? And I was still doing everything else the same. I just made that one small choice, and I conquered that one thing, which made me feel empowered, because I'm like, okay, well, if I can cut this one thing out of my life, then maybe I can cut something else. And you're going to laugh at me, Carol, but I learned to talk to the chocolate in the Walmart line.
Okay. What did you say to
I
it?
said, I'm not buying you today. Because I realized one of my biggest battles was in the grocery store.
Sure.
I live a half an hour out of town, right? So if I don't buy it when I'm grocery shopping, I'm not driving an hour to get a chocolate bar
Good for
or
you.
that bag of chips or,
Hmm.
any of those other things. So I learned my battle was in the grocery store. And that I think that's something really important too with empowering questions is sometimes when you ask the empowering questions, you figure out where the real problem is.
Yes.
See, if the food's in the house, I eat it. I
Okay.
just I'm learning to have more self-control at home, but if it's there, it's just constantly tempting me. But if I
Okay.
can learn to say no at the grocery store and then I get home and I want it, I'm like, yeah, I'm not driving an hour to get it.
But look at what you're doing. You didn't even really realize, but you're tacking.
Yeah.
You were tacking and you were grateful every time you dropped a half a can, right?
Mm.
And that's a part of celebration is gratitude, right? One of the things I teach on celebration is we put a physical anchor and we put voice to it.
Mm.
Because from an NLP perspective, that makes it much more powerful. We don't have time for that today, but you were already doing, and look, it's successful,
Yeah.
right? So
But
you
you
can
know what was
also
really funny in the grocery
what
stores? Because
what
sometimes I would physically have to say, I'm not buying you today chocolate. And there'd be a couple standing behind me. And the woman would just smile at me and say, go girl. And the man would be looking at me as if I was nuts. And the woman looks at me and goes, the battle is real. The battle is
There you
real.
go. That's right. Well,
Oh.
I say that's awesome. And congratulations on your progress. Just keep doing it a little at a time.
Mhm.
And you could use empowering questions and to just say, well, what one thing could I do differently today
Mhm.
to move me closer to my goal?
Yes.
And remember, it's one thing.
Yes.
Yep. And I want you to start celebrating it, Kim.
Amen. I will.
Right? Awesome. Awesome.
Now, the last time when you were at my online network and learn event, you did a little bit on sales and empowering questions. Could we maybe just do like a really quick demonstration of that? Because we have so many entrepreneurs here who could really use that help right now to use empowering questions to build their business.
Was that when we did a role play, or you want me to talk about how I crafted some of those around sales?
Maybe just talk about it because we've only got probably about 5, 6, 7 minutes left. So,
Okay. When you're in sales, often, right, as I said earlier, there's your big quota, and all you can think about is this big quota. So not only do you want to break it down from a tacking perspective, you want to use empowering questions around that. The key thing I see in working with people that are fairly new to sales is they think when they get that first appointment, right, that they're going to go close a sale. No, right? What I help teach them is you have to know what your goal is when you get on the phone
yes.
because you're not always going to get the appointment. Perhaps your goal is what one piece of information could I get today that I don't already know about this person that will help move me forward? Think about
Yes.
it. They might tell you that one thing, you put it in your database or your CRM, and you're going to follow up with them in a month. Now, when you call back, you have more information. Make sense?
Yes.
So each piece of the sales process is a step, and you have to define your goal for that step. And we have to remember that each step is about making progress, right? So, what one thing, and I keep saying one thing because I want you guys to hear that. It's not what can I do today? The brain can't pick that up. It's overwhelming. It could be a million things. You just want God or the universe to give you one thing that you're not already thinking about.
Yes.
And you do it and you celebrate it. In sales, if you do it and it was effective, you got the progress that you wanted, guess what you do? You do that again.
And you celebrate.
You celebrate and you ask another question on top of that. Once you get that one piece in play and you can play it over with different prospects or different clients, you ask another piece, right? For sales, especially because so many people have a hard time with sales because they take rejection personally.
Yes.
Here's a powerful, powerful question. Because in order to not take it personally, we have to change what we believe, right?
Yep.
We have to change what we believe, and that'll change what we think, and that'll change what we do, and that'll change how we receive it. So it starts with what we believe. So if I believe that I'm worthy, I can ask the question, what one thought, now think about this, what one thought that I don't have today, if I were to adopt it, would accelerate every sale I'm trying to make. Think about that.
Ooh. Yeah.
You could actually change that and apply that to your life and just tweak a little bit of the words. You could say, what one thought that I don't have today that if I were to adopt it would elevate every area of my life?
Mm.
The
Yep.
key thing is not just in sales, but in everyday using empowering questions, you have to put them out to God or the universe, whichever you choose to believe, several times a day.
Mm.
And out loud is better. And first thing in the morning and last thing at night in front of the mirror is best.
Ah, there you go.
The brain will process what you're given it right before you go to bed. That means once you do it, you don't pick up your phone, you don't go to your computer, you don't do anything else. You go to bed.
Mm.
First thing in the morning, same thing. Don't reach and pick up that phone.
Yes.
Get your list of empowering questions you've created around whatever challenge that you're having and go up, get in front of the mirror and say them out loud. Put them out
Because
there.
there's power in the spoken word. Not
Yes.
only just when you think it, but when you speak it, then that's another sense. And then when you speak it and you hear it, that's another sense. And it all confirms each other.
Yes. And your brain is a sponge first thing in the morning because it's been filtered at night. So you're telling it at night and first thing in the morning.
Yes.
Your brain is going to be thinking about those, even though you're not consciously thinking about them.
Mm-hmm.
Because what it will do, oftentimes we said earlier, and this happens especially in sales situations, who's the problem? The salesperson, right?
Yeah.
So if you crafted empowering questions before the sales call, before you picked up the phone, and you'd said these out loud repeatedly, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do I need to show up so they can see me or hear me, depending if you're making a call or you're going to a networking event? What one thing can I say to move this conversation forward, right?
Mm-hmm.
Little things like that will make a huge difference. Huge difference.
Wow.
I've done it at networking events, and sometimes it will absolutely blow your mind. And you'll go, how did that person just showed up and wants to meet with me? Like, really? Like, I'm getting ready to put on a 21-day summit. You think I don't have a list of empowering questions? It's a huge undertaking, that many days and everything. But I don't focus on, oh my God, it's 21. It's like, what am I doing today?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
What steps, just like you did, what steps do I need to take today? I hope that answered your questions on sales. We could really go in depth into that. There's a lot in the process, but I hope that helped whoever's out there. To maybe
I think so. So there's two things I want to do. So first of all, Carol is doing a summit in June. It's going to be 21 days in June. So right now, I don't think the website is quite up yet for it, is it?
No, not quite.
Okay.
Not quite.
So if people want to get tickets for this, can you give them your email address so that they can contact you to get tickets for this event?
Absolutely. It's Carol, CAROL, at carolboston, just like the city.com. Carol at carolboston.com.
Awesome.
And ask me about the virtual summit.
Now, I also have something going on. So on May 27th, I'm going to be doing a one-day online network and learn summit. So you're going to be spending the whole day not only networking with people, but I am bringing in 6 experts, including Carol, who are going to help you to get targeted, direct exposure for your business that's going to the word went out of my head. So
okay.
You are not only going to get exposure for your business, you're going to learn how to generate prospects, but then convert them into raving clients.
There you go.
And so if you want to attend that event, go to www.author2authority, just like the podcast.com/online-network-learn, and the tickets will be available there. They are going to be $19.97 Canadian. And so for you American people, that's a lot less. And and come on out and enjoy the day. Meet lots of new people. I use a very specialized software that feels like you're at a networking event. Carol's been to them. You get to sit at a table. You get to enjoy conversation with just a few people at the time. You can get up. You can switch tables. And like I said, we're going to have 6 amazing presenters who are going to equip you to just take your business forward even during these times. So that is May 27th, and it's going to be an all-day event. So thank you so much, Carol, for being on the show. This has been Carol Boston and Kim Thompson-Pinder on the Author to Authority podcast. Thank you for joining, and we will see you on the very next episode. Bye now.